Hey guys, it's Gadi, Schwartz, and tonight we are watching the drama surrounding federal worker buyouts. For starters, there are legal questions about whether or not the president can even offer federal employees a buyout, and a second federal judge is already pushing back on slashing the size of the government, and a deadline for employees to make a decision has been punted to Monday. There is a lot to unpack on this one, so we'll have full team coverage ahead. And we are getting word tonight that DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is going to visit Guantanamo Bay tomorrow. That's following up on the president's plan to move thousands of migrants to the facility. We're going to tell you what's going on there. Plus, a group of FBI agents are taking steps to keep themselves off lists that name those who worked on investigations into Donald Trump. We're talking about the ones who investigated January 6th and classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Their lawyer talks to us in a few minutes, and those are just some of the stories we're following. There is so much more to unpack tonight, so let's get going, because this is Stay Tuned Now. And tonight, the so-called fork in the road for federal employees wondering if they can keep their job, should quit or be fired, just got an extension. Now, today was supposed to be the deadline for federal employees to take Trump up on that blanket offer to resign and get paid through September, but a judge in Massachusetts just put the whole thing on pause. Now, originally, workers had until midnight tonight to resign in exchange for 8 months of pay and benefits. But there were a lot of questions about the particulars of the deal, and the nature of the deal itself is driving protests in D.C. As for the extensions, the White House seems okay with it, maybe even happy with it, given that they were originally aiming for a 10% force reduction and less than 3% are taking the deal. Now, the administration saying, quote, "We are grateful to the judge for extending the deadline so more federal workers who refuse to show up to an office can take the administration up on this very generous once-in-a-lifetime offer." Now let's bring in our NBC News chief White House correspondent, Peter Alexander. So, Peter, what happens to the 3% so far that did take the deal?
Yeah, it's a good question right now. 2.6% in total. In fact, they wanted the number to be, between 5 and 10%. They do have a little bit more time. The White House is viewing this pause by the federal judge as an extension. But what does happen is not entirely clear right now. Take what happened at the Department of Education, Gadi, just a couple of days ago. There was a Zoom call where multiple education department officials tell NBC News that some of the top brass there communicated to them that even if they took the offer, it could still be rescinded, and the potential existed that they would not get those promised payouts going forward. That's one reason why so many of these federal workers across the country right now are so anxious and even not even trusting the government to follow through on this. Remember, we face a possible government shutdown in the middle of March. They wonder whether, in fact, they will receive the money that they would be due if they accept this offer.
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty there. And I know the Trump administration is saying that the goal here is saving money. If there were to be something along the lines of 10% that did quit, do we know what the savings could be?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's hard to know exactly what the savings would be here. Obviously, 10% would be a significant dent, but it pales in comparison to the amount of money the U.S. spends on what the Department of Defense does, the money that's spent on the Pentagon broadly here. But it's a good question, Gadi, and we don't really candidly have a very good answer on exactly how much money that would save. Critics of this move, though, say that President Trump, while there is a need for reform across a lot of these agencies, should be doing this with a scalpel and not, in their words, with a bludgeon.
We live in the day and age of a lot of questions, not a lot of clear answers. And yet, what's going on with Elon Musk's attempt to, as he put it, feed USAID into the wood chipper?
Yeah, that was his language. And frankly, a lot of advocates for USAID, the Agency for International Development, are deeply offended by that language. They say that already people around the world are dying as a function of anti-malarial pills, vaccines, medications being held up in ports. Take Sudan, where they're dealing with a famine right now as a function of this freeze that the president has put in place alongside Elon Musk. And take what's going on at USAID in particular. Tonight, Gadi, we learned that of about 5,000, more than 5,000 civil servants, they have contractors and others, foreign service officers who work for that agency. They are now expected to reduce that 5,000 figure down to roughly 290. And as you were speaking earlier, I just read a staggering statistic. That means there would only be about 12 people dedicated to the entire continent of Africa, where obviously the need is tremendous. Gadi?
And unfortunately, important context that is not going viral as some of the other stuff that we've seen out there NBC's Peter Alexander, thank you so much. And now let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Danny, what are the grounds that the judge is pausing this on?
Well, I just looked on Pacer, and really this isn't a traditional stay as far as I can tell, in the sense that the judge has made a finding that the movements are likely to win on the merits. It's actually kind of the opposite. It's more of an administrative stay. It's more of a whoa, let's stop the clock and just give this a couple days so everybody can come in and brief it with no real opinion on the merits. So it's really kind of a stay before maybe another stay, before maybe an adjudication on the merits. So I would say at this point, no one's really ruled in on the legality so far or weighed in terms of the court, but they're just hitting the pause button to give everyone just a couple more days to work this through and brief the issue.
And what happens next? Is this going to make its way all the way up through the courts?
It might. I mean, this is a common question with all things Trump. And my answer to that is when you have a pure issue of law that really has never been addressed before, or maybe there's a circuit split. The law is different in different federal courts. But here you have a novel issue, and it's really brand new, and it's almost purely legal. The facts are kind of not much in doubt. Once the facts are established, the judge can make a determination. So, yes, I would expect this is something that could potentially make its way up to the Supreme Court. That's assuming that the Trump administration isn't interested in withdrawing this plan or changing it or going back to the drawing board, which they've done in the past when courts had stopped them.
NBC's Danny Savalos. Danny, thank you. And turning now to the existential AI question of the day. With every interaction between American users and China's new DeepSeek AI, there's a whole lot of data generated. So what does DeepSeek do with all that data? Well, that is the worry behind some new legislation in Congress that would ban the Chinese AI chatbot from government devices. And yeah, this is sounding a lot like the TikTok saga all over again. Savannah Sellers has the details.
Hey there, breaking just today. There is a new push from lawmakers to ban this app, DeepSeek, over security concerns. Congress is worried about the information the app collects and its ability to send that to China. But it's still very popular, challenging other apps from the biggest companies in the world.
Australia, South Korea, and Taiwan are the latest countries announcing a ban of the surging AI app DeepSeek. Plus, government bans in the U.S. are also growing, with NASA, the Navy, and Texas state government workers blocked from using the Chinese-owned app, all citing national security concerns.
DeepSeek spells it out right in its privacy policy that they are tracking user keystrokes and they are saving that data on Chinese servers. What does that mean for users?
Where is that data going? Is it to companies we trust? And are those privacy policies reflective of that?
Now, cybersecurity firm Fruit says it's found evidence users' data is going to China with the ability to send that data to state-owned China Mobile, a telecom company already blocked in the U.S. with the Pentagon citing ties to the Chinese military. Still, users don't seem to be scared off, with more than 16 million downloads since its launch. This as OpenAI is investigating whether DeepSeek used its models inappropriately to build a competing app. With so much buzz around DeepSeek, we wanted to use the app ourselves against the U.S.'s most popular AI chatbot, ChatGPT, starting with concerns DeepSeek censors its answers.
Let's see what happens when I ask both DeepSeek and ChatGPT about Chinese leadership. What do you think of President Xi? DeepSeek just started an answer and then immediately said, sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else. Whereas ChatGPT is giving a detailed answer.
When asked what happened at Tiananmen Square, DeepSeek simply refused to answer.
It's going to generate, and then its rules are going to tell you, hey, nope, you're not supposed to say that. Wipe it.
I asked both to compose an essay of someone they admire.
Okay, they picked the same person. Both DeepSeek and ChatGPT are saying they admire Malala.
The concern is that you've got an account with DeepSeek, which is a Chinese-owned company. Is our data, the data that's all over our phone, all the signals that the phone can get and that app can get, going to the Chinese?
We reached out to DeepSeek about what we saw and potential data collection. We did not hear back. OpenAI also did not respond to our request for comment on our demonstration. Also, as we were using DeepSeek, it's worth noting the app wouldn't load answers several times throughout the day, a sign its makers are still working out the kinks. Back to you.
Sketchy. Savannah Sellers, thank you. And today, there are new images of U.S. military flights deporting undocumented migrants and landing in countries across the world, including India. The plane landed in the northern state of Punjab yesterday, and local media says at least 100 people were on the plane. Here's how one of them described the experience.
वहाँ पे डिटेंशन सेंटर बोला है उसने और तो निकाले थे जितनी लेडीज थी बच्चों ने छोड़ गए लेडीज थी जितने 18 साल तक ऊपर के लड़के थे जेंट्स थे सभी का हथकड़ी लगा दी पैरों में हाथों में लगा दी भाई वही बंदा ना वॉशरूम भी करना हुआ फ्रेश भी होना हुआ ऐसी कोई सुविधा नहीं दी गई खाना खाने के लिए नहीं हथकड़ी खोली कभी नहीं खोली.
We're also seeing another flight of what ICE is calling high-threat migrants headed to Guantanamo Bay. That plane flying out of Texas, and another is scheduled for tomorrow, which is also when the new DHS Secretary Kristi Noem will visit Gitmo. Meanwhile, we're also getting our first look at the 10 migrants already being held at Guantanamo Bay. This is them after landing on Tuesday. All while that happens in Cuba, Trump's new Attorney General Pam Bondi is suing the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago over immigration policies. Bondi saying state policies block the feds from doing their jobs when it comes to immigration enforcement. Meanwhile, in Seattle, another federal judge putting the brakes on Trump's birthright citizenship order. It comes just a day after a federal judge in Maryland issued a similar hold. Our friend David Noriega joins us in the studio now. David, so what's going on with this new lawsuit against Chicago, against the entire state of Illinois here?
Yeah. So, okay, when Stephen Miller, the architect of many of Donald Trump's immigration policies, left the White House after the end of his first term, he went and started this group called America First Legal, which he positioned as, in his words, the ACLU of the right. And one of their big projects was finding ways to sort of chip away at state and local jurisdictions' ability to pass sanctuary policies. Now that he is once again in the halls of power, the DOJ is now basically laying the groundwork for what in Stephen Miller's sort of grand strategy that he's laid out is a lasting legal challenge against these types of policies. The administration is looking for different ways, honestly, to basically punish sanctuary jurisdictions for being sanctuary jurisdictions, including, Tom Homan has been open about the fact that they are actively going out and seeking collateral arrests to make during these big immigration sweeps because they want to communicate to sanctuary cities, you're not letting us into your jails, this is what happens as a result. This could very well wind up at the Supreme Court, and the very future of sanctuary policies could be at stake.
Collateral deportations as a possible message that's being sent?
Yeah, I mean, again, Homan has been pretty straightforward about this. This is when he speaks to media during the course of these sweeps that he's been doing, including to NBC. Exactly. He's said, look, this is happening. We're fanning out into the streets of your city in force in this way because you will not let us into your jails as a result of these sanctuary laws.
We've also seen him talking a lot about obstruction and those that may be obstructing their operations here. What is he talking about?
So lots of different kinds of obstruction, one of which, for example, actually is, yesterday there were these big roundups, these sweeps in the Denver area that we talked about, actually, right? Fox News, which was embedded with ICE during some of those operations, reported that only 30 people were arrested, even after, hundreds of agents went out into the streets. And Tom Homan actually blamed that on the media, saying that because some details of this operation had been leaked to the media last week and the operation was postponed, they got fewer arrests than they expected. Take a listen to part of what he said.
The operation was leaked, and again, we're going to hold those people accountable once we find out what those leaks occurred. This isn't a game. When the operations get leaked like that, it puts our officers at great risk. It's already a dangerous job.
Yeah. So, look, the fact that the raid in Colorado turned out fewer arrests than they expected doesn't mean that the same happened in other operations. Actually, ICE today, for the first time in several days, put out the total number, nationwide total of arrests, which was in the 800s, so still substantially higher than what was happening under the Biden administration, still not quite at Obama-era level records.
And on that, I know you've been following the numbers. It's one of those things where we saw Fox embedded with those groups. We did not have our cameras there. However, I believe Fox's reporting was one member of Tren de Aragua was caught, and they were targeting hundreds, right? Do we know anything about that?
That's right. They said they had a target list of 100 alleged members of Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan prison gang. Only one arrest in the Denver area was what they describe as a TDA member. Again, we also haven't seen any evidence to support what exactly that person's gang ties are. Look, the TDA question, the Tren de Aragua question, right? The Trump administration is very clearly trying to make TDA its kind of marquee adversary in this in its big immigration push. In fact, today we learned some details of the latest flight of deportees to Guantanamo Bay, which a White House, a DHS official told NBC News today consisted of 13 suspected, or in their words, known Tren de Aragua members. They are clearly trying to make an example of these cases.
And so we are starting to hear a little bit about those that are being sent to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, a little bit. And look, it's still very small numbers. It's 23 people, of course, so far as that we know of, but there's sort of a categorical thing, like a big shift happening. Just the fact that people are being flown from the U.S. mainland to the naval base on Guantanamo Bay, specifically for immigration detention, unprecedented.
And what's going on with birthright citizenship? And 2 federal judges have weighed in, right?
Yeah, so one of the first most dramatic things that Trump did on immigration was this executive order trying to end birthright citizenship. That was immediately challenged, as was expected and widely predicted. And so far, the 2 federal judges that have ruled on it, one in Maryland yesterday and one in Seattle today, they both put a hold on this executive order. That's not entirely surprising. The precedent on birthright citizenship is the legal experts that you talk to say it's pretty clear. It's in the Constitution. It's in the 14th Amendment. It's in the Constitution or in the laws of most countries in the Americas, because we have shared histories with, colonialism and slavery, et cetera. And so there's a deep, deep, deep history to this. The goal, I think, on both sides probably is to get this up to the highest level and have it decided by, the Supreme Court.
David Noriega, thanks so much for joining us.
You got it.
And it was a long day in court as lawyers for the FBI took the Justice Department on, and so much of that centered around fears over the release of names of agents involved in the January 6th investigation. And there were a lot of them, because that investigation involved thousands at the FBI, and it all stems from 2 lawsuits filed earlier this week by 2 groups of FBI agents who were suing to protect their identities after they were asked to fill out surveys about January 6th cases. Now, one of the lawsuits is a class action representing at least 6,000 FBI employees, and this follows what's been a contentious time in the FBI with the firings of top leaders and concerns over safety and privacy. NBC's Ken Delanian joins us now to break it all down. Hey there, Ken.
Hey, good evening, Gadi. On the second day of Attorney General Pam Bondi's tenure here at the Justice Department, we've reached a little bit of an equilibrium, or maybe a standoff is a better word, in this situation regarding the FBI and the effort by the Justice Department to get the names of all the January 6 agents and potentially fire some of them. That hasn't happened so far. The FBI did turn over a list, as you know, of everyone from the Bureau who worked on January 6 cases, but the list did not include their names. It included employee identification numbers. And yesterday, the acting Deputy Attorney General Emile Beauvais, who once was Donald Trump's defense lawyer, wrote a blistering memo to the FBI workforce, essentially accusing the acting FBI director, Brian Driscoll, of insubordination. He said, look, the reason we asked for all this information is because we tried to get a narrower, more targeted list of people who worked on January 6th, and the acting FBI director refused. Well, the reason he refused is because he thought that this was inappropriate. He had decided that this effort to identify people who worked on January 6 cases amounted to political retribution, and he wasn't going to stand for it. And it's really interesting because this man, acting FBI Director Brian Driscoll, was installed by the Trump administration, but he is not really a MAGA loyalist. He's a longtime career FBI employee, former member of the hostage rescue squad, did some very dangerous missions in Afghanistan and elsewhere. And he's being hailed inside the FBI as a hero for standing up to the Justice Department and the Trump administration. Meanwhile, there have been 2 class action lawsuits filed by FBI agents, and they were in court today trying to negotiate with the Justice Department an agreement that no one would release the names of anybody who worked on January 6 cases. That's really their concern, is that their names get out there. But our reporting suggests that there actually was a plan to fire a large number of these agents, and that the actions of Brian Driscoll and the FBI Agents Association and others has staved that off for now, as we await the confirmation of Kash Patel. There's a hearing on that next week to become FBI director. What Mr. Patel does if he's confirmed remains to be seen. Gadi, back to you.
Kindlenian, thank you. Chris Maddie is an attorney representing some of the FBI's suing the Justice Department and joins us now. Chris, so this survey, I've got so many questions about what was on it, who's collecting all this information, and do we know exactly where it's going?
Well, the survey was sent out by the acting Deputy Attorney General at the Justice Department. That survey asked every federal agent to respond to a series of questions relating to their involvement in the January 6th investigations: their name, their duty station, the extent to which they had participated, what they had done. And it was geared specifically to discover every agent in the FBI who had participated in that investigation. It's unprecedented. It's never been done before. There's no legitimate reason for it. The results were then transmitted to the Justice Department by the FBI, and now it is in the Justice Department's hand. What it is a prelude to, our suspicion, and the reason that we felt the need to bring a lawsuit was we were concerned that the identities of the FBI agents who participated would be disclosed and that it was a precursor to a potential mass firing. So that was our concern, and that's why we went to court on an emergency basis earlier this week. We had an initial hearing this morning before Judge Cobb. That hearing is going to continue tomorrow, and our hope is that at the conclusion of the day tomorrow, one of two things will happen. Either she will enter a temporary restraining order preventing the government from disclosing those names, or we'll have some agreement with the Justice Department pursuant to which they will agree not to disclose any of this information outside the Justice Department. Our real concern here has been the safety of our agents, because if that information was disclosed publicly, their families would be at risk.
And in one of the lawsuits, it details how those pardoned by Trump have already tagged some FBI agents online, calling them out by name for investigating January 6th. Like, how could all this scrutiny impact the FBI's job going forward here?
Well, number one, I mean, if this information is disclosed, that is, if about 5,000 agents are disclosed who have been involved in January 6th, that would, number one, immediately impair their ability to carry on their jobs. Number two, it would place them at risk. We know that many of the people who attack the Capitol are violent. They've committed to retribution in the future if they have the opportunity. They've now been pardoned. And so that causes us great concern. But then beyond that, if that disclosure results in some significant number of FBI agents losing their jobs, that would compromise the ability of the FBI to carry out its national security and public safety functions, which is obviously a tremendous concern to us. So this is a very serious issue. And you know, we don't want to be in this position. The FBI Agents Association does not want to be bringing lawsuits against the federal government. They felt that they had no choice but to protect their agents in this way.
Yeah. And overall, I mean, what has this done for the public's view and their trust in the FBI?
Well, I mean, it is absolutely true that people across the political spectrum have been critical of the FBI for political reasons. And the FBI, as an apolitical body, you know, is not really in a position to defend itself. I mean, the people at the FBI do their jobs regardless of politics every day. They don't have any political leanings that influence their work. That's not how it operates. I mean, I'll tell you a story real quickly. Just last week, federal agents were assigned to recovery efforts in the Potomac River after the airplane crash. They were literally pulling bodies from the river in the most dignified way they could as they were investigating. And then they were called back to headquarters, not to debrief about that, not to get some time for themselves, but to respond to a survey about whether they had been involved in an investigation. The work that the FBI does every day is designed to keep all of us safe. You safe, me safe, our kids safe. And we cannot allow the folks who protect us to be targeted themselves, especially for political retribution. So our hope is that by filing this lawsuit, we can make the case that regardless of what the politics may be of a given day, the FBI needs to be allowed to do its job without fear of political retaliation.
We'll stay tuned to what happens tomorrow. Chris Maddie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. A second person has died connected to that Ohio warehouse shooting. Remember, a man opened fire late Tuesday at a cosmetics warehouse. One person died at the scene. The other was passing from their injuries at the hospital. 4 people remained hospitalized, and the suspect was arraigned earlier today. And Alabama has just executed a man with nitrogen gas. Demetrius Frazier was pronounced dead within the last hour, becoming the fourth person in the country to be executed using nitrogen gas. He was convicted of murdering and raping a woman back in 1991. Now, this is the first execution in Alabama this year and the third so far in the United States. And officials in D.C. removed that Army Black Hawk helicopter from the Potomac after the fatal crash there last week. Salvage crews were seen removing huge chunks throughout the day that you see right there. This as the FAA's air traffic org is now recommending airlines decrease how many planes arrive at DCA every hour. And the Trump administration is planning on pressuring the IOC to come up with a transgender athlete ban. Last night, he signed an executive order banning trans athletes from women's sports. At that ceremony, Trump hinted he wanted major changes at the Olympics. Now, the USDA is trying to wrap their heads around a new form of bird flu. They detected it while testing milk from dairy cows. The agency says all those positive bird flu infections we've been seeing came from one type of strain. Second strain has also popped up among wild birds this winter. And don't go anywhere, we are just getting started. Still ahead, new insight into what may have sparked one of the deadly wildfires here in Southern California. Liz Kreutz is here to talk about what's going on. But first, remember those JFK documents President Trump said we'd finally see? Well, we're going to be joined by an expert who knows exactly what he's looking for when we get them, so stay tuned. And turning now to one of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time and whether we will finally get answers or at least some closure on the assassination of JFK Jr. That is the question after President Trump signed an executive order to uncover classified documents of some of the most high-profile assassinations in the country. We're talking about the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. Both Trump and Biden have already uncovered tens of thousands of papers, but some information is still in the hands of various agencies, and now Trump is seeking a complete release. Joining us now to discuss these files is Jeff Morley, editor of the JFK Files blog. Jeff, so glad to talk to you tonight. Do you think these documents are going to change what we know about these assassinations, or is this just a lot of hype?
Well, let's take them one at a time. On the JFK files, if we have full and complete disclosure, which is what President Trump's order calls for, we will learn significant new and important information that will change people's minds about the causes of the assassination and the circumstances. The question is, will we get full and complete disclosure? And we're supposed to get the president's plan tomorrow, and we'll find out just how serious they are about getting to all of the records that remain out of public view.
And I know one of the records that you've been looking for is a set of very personal letters from Jackie Kennedy. What could they tell us? What do you think we might see there if they're released?
You know, Jackie Kennedy and Robert Kennedy did not believe the official story of the assassination. They said they did publicly, but privately they never believed it. And they suspected that President Kennedy had been killed by enemies within his own government. I believe that the evidence we've learned, especially in the last 10 to 20 years, confirms that that's the most likely explanation of what happened. So that's what is out there. And what we know, one of the records that should be obtained are a series of letters that Jackie Kennedy wrote to President Johnson after the assassination, and also 4 interviews that she gave with historian William Manchester, where she is known to have talked about why she didn't believe the official story. So those documents are under seal right now, but a real search, full and complete JFK disclosure, as President Trump has called for, that's the information that they will get. I believe that what Jackie Kennedy told President Johnson was, you need to have a real investigation because this story about one man alone did it is not sufficient. She also talked in the same vein with historian Manchester about what exactly she experienced in the car when the gunfire erupted around her. So those are highly relevant to understanding the assassination. And they're just one of the set of documents that we need to obtain to finally get the kind of resolution that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like if those documents are released, and hypothetically, if all that is true in there, closure is the last thing we will probably get. It'll probably be a lot more questions of people that have either passed or a lot of the history that is forgotten to time almost and buried in a lot of this. I do want to ask, if this comes out, if hypothetically all of this is true, what do you think this is going to do to public trust in the government? Because so much of like the public distrust in the government, you can trace a lot of it back to JFK, right? And the assassination.
Absolutely, you can. And what I say is, if the government wants to regain trust, they need to come clean on this. And, you know, I mean, why are we still talking about it 60 years later? Why are we 8 years past the deadline that Congress passed for release of all this material? You know, it's really, it's strange, and frankly, it's suspicious. So the hopeful thing is that President Trump's order will be completely enforced and we'll get all this stuff, and then we can talk about it and everybody can be fully informed. But until that happens, you know, this mistrust is going to remain, as it should. The CIA has not given the public reason to trust it on the Kennedy assassination story. That's why we need all the records.
And, you know, forgive me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but you've probably seen this before, right? The promise of transparency, the promise of disclosure, and then it plays out, and then we're left with a lot of documents.
People say, Jeff, you know, what do you think? Well, I have high expectations, but I also have hard experience. The CIA is very good at this kind of stuff. They persuaded Trump the first time around, don't release this stuff. They persuaded Biden, don't release this stuff. They may get to Trump yet again. I mean, I don't rule out the possibility. We need to see the plan, and then we need to see the documents. But if we don't have a significant number of the outstanding documents within 30 days on JFK, then we know that this is not, this effort is being thwarted. So the RFK and MLK records are more complex, and it's going to take longer to sort those out.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's so much to talk about there. Jeff, I hope you come back. I know that your blog will be the first one I'm refreshing when those drop. Thanks so much for joining us, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
And coming up, sure. A scary scene in a Washington church coming up. A priest is punched in front of his congregation. There it is right there. What he's saying about that stunning ordeal. But first, you got to see this. A man in Florida was running away from authorities after an alleged drug deal when an unlikely hero caught the suspect. Police say Horse Nash tailed this suspect for a quarter of a mile, determined to not let him escape. That's when backup finally came in and helped corner the suspect. That right there is a lot of horsepower. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. A major utility company says their equipment may have caused one of the wildfires that rocked California last month, and that's Southern California Edison. They're not fully taking the blame right now, but they are saying SCE believes its equipment may be associated with the ignition of the Hurst fire, adding the cause of the fire remains under investigation and that SCE continues to cooperate with authorities. Now, this comes after Altadena residents filed a lawsuit against the company earlier this week. They allege it did not maintain or depower equipment that may have caused the fire. Liz Kreutz is joining us to talk a little bit more about this. So what exactly is SoCal Edison saying here?
Yeah, essentially what you said. I have the letter here. SoCal Edison is sent to the CPUC, the California Public Utilities Commission, where they essentially say and acknowledge that they may be associated with the Hurst fire. And as you remember, associated is there may be associated. So they're not taking full responsibility here. They're not saying for sure. They say the investigation is still underway, but that they're acknowledging that as they are investigating themselves, that it seems like their equipment may be associated with this fire. But that's notable because they're not saying that for the major fire that we've been covering, which is the fire, of course, in Altadena.
And a fire that is already seeing lawsuits as well,
right,
with video of a possible point of ignition. What's the latest there?
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of lawsuits about this, and they also did acknowledge, the CEO of Edison International, which oversees SoCal Edison, has acknowledged the video evidence. They say that they are investigating, but they have not gone so far as to say that they may be associated with it. In fact, if anything, they're pushing back that they are, and they're saying that they have not seen any irregularities that would show that there was any kind of spark. I did interview the CEO a few weeks ago, and here's what he said. At this point, can you say with 100% certainty that your equipment did not play any role in this fire?
What I can tell you is that for sure we did not see any sort of electric signature that would be typical when you have a spark like that. But of course, we want to learn more. We'll investigate more.
So it's possible?
It's always a possibility there's something out of the ordinary, something very atypical here.
Essentially, they're keeping without that sort of line of communication even now a few weeks later. But the only difference from then is that we have seen several more lawsuits waged against the utility company with residents just wondering why their power wasn't turned off sooner and why there is that video evidence showing what appears to be fire at the base of one of their transmission lines.
And if they are found liable, I mean, California, we have seen public utilities found liable and facing very hefty penalties and payouts, right? Where does this play into that? Are we looking at something that's going to drag out in the courts when they finally do admit, if they do admit, if it was their fault? Or is this something that you could see them come forward and say, look, we are responsible?
I think it remains to be seen. It certainly does. I mean, the CEO did say, look, I live locally. He lives in Pasadena. He wants to get to the bottom of really how this fire started. They have friends that lost their homes. So that's what he was saying. And he says that they, will be as transparent as possible. Obviously, though, there could be a very hefty penalty if they are found liable. As you mentioned, I look back at what happened with PG&E, and they were fined by the CPUC $1.9 billion for the 2017 and 2018 wildfires, the 2018 wildfires being the Camp Fire that killed more than 80 people. 2017, there was the deadly Tubbs Fire in Napa County. So if they are found liable, they face very hefty fines.
Yeah. Liz Kreutz, thanks so much. And a shocking scene caught on camera at a Washington church. A man taking a swing at a priest. That priest is now talking about what happened. Here's NBC's Camila Bernal.
For physical and spiritual.
A terrifying moment during a weeknight prayer service in Spokane, Washington.
You know our wants, our troubles, and our sufferings.
A man leaping out of a pew, rushing to attack Father David Gaines near the altar.
It's all right, just calm down. What was going through my mind was trying to calm him down.
It's okay, buddy. It's all right.
The shocking attack caught on camera.
Someone get the security guard.
Leaving some in the congregation at the Cathedral of Our Lady of Lourdes stunned as others raced to help their priest, now speaking out for the first time to us about that attack.
Were you hurt?
Yeah, it's interesting watching the video. I don't remember that first hit from his right fist, where my whole body kind of jerks over pretty heavily. And yes, my left neck and side and my arm has all just been sore, but nothing terribly painful. I think more pain came from the shock and the adrenaline rush.
His attacker, later identified by police as Joshua Summers, a man unknown to the priest, but invited in by parishioners.
They told me that they invited him on their way in. They saw him on the side of the street and brought him in.
Summers was handcuffed by the security guard at the cathedral, and police arrived within minutes, arresting him on an assault charge.
Defense is requesting the
Summers appeared in court Thursday, restrained in handcuffs and facing other outstanding charges. His bail was set at $75,000. The public defender's office did not immediately respond to NBC News' request for comment.
Let's say a Hail Mary for that disturbed gentleman. Hail Mary.
The church praying for him moments after the attack. Another priest addressing it again the following day with some humor and a nod to President Trump.
I asked Father Gaines tonight to process in with a square bandage over his ear. I would have done it, you know that.
Spokane police saying this kind of attack is rare, but the church saying they are prepared and hired extra security.
And we spend tens of thousands of dollars a year on fencing and alarms and locks and security cameras.
And despite those frantic moments, Father Gaines setting the example.
Have you forgiven him?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, I would actually, if it's possible, I'd like to go see him.
Huh, there's forgiveness right there. Camila Bernal, thank you so much for that. And here are some stories that are happening out west that we're following right now. Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison, all for stealing millions from the baseball star to pay off his gambling debt. You'll remember that Ippei Mizuhara pled guilty last year to bank fraud and filing a false tax return. He will also have to pay more than $18 million in restitution to Ohtani and the IRS as well. In a statement in court, Mizuhara apologized to Ohtani. And if you ever wondered what $19 million worth of meth looks like, it looks like that right there. Customs and Border Protection seized all of this meth and heroin this week from a truck trying to cross into the United States from Mexico. The drugs were hidden in a shipment of cucumbers and jalapenos. And Kelly Clarkson is spending her summer in Las Vegas. The singer will kick off an 18-show residency at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace starting in July. Most of her shows will take place during the summer, with the shorter stint coming in November. This is her second Vegas residency. And up next, an NBC News exclusive, Guatemala's president on why he's working with the Trump administration to accept deported migrants. A conversation with our Julia Ainsley coming up next. Hey, welcome back. The Trump administration's immigration crackdown means more migrant deportations, and where those migrants are sent is a key negotiating point for Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He's already announced agreements with the governments of El Salvador and Guatemala. So what does a partnership like that look like? And an NBC News exclusive, Julia Ainsley asked Guatemala's president about it. Take a look.
Tonight, the president of Guatemala sitting down exclusively with NBC News to share his thoughts on his recent visit with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
We came to very good agreements on the different issues. We agreed on the issue of migration, that we're going to be accepting a 40% increase in the number of flights of deportees.
President Bernardo Arévalo met with Rubio on his first trip, where he visited several Latin American countries to make deals for one of President Trump's top priorities, immigration. In addition to that 40% increase in deportation flights, Arévalo agreed to receive people from countries other than Guatemala.
So why would you agree to take back migrants who aren't from Guatemala?
Because they are not staying in Guatemala. Because they are going, this is part of their repatriation to other countries.
And how will you be sure that they'll go to other countries? Will the U.S. help with that?
Yes, because we discussed that the United States is going to be helping us in this process.
Rubio also said at a press conference with Arévalo that the migrants would only be in Guatemala temporarily.
It's very important for us in terms of the migratory situation that we're facing. His willingness to accept not just nationals, but those from other nationalities as they seek to ultimately return to their own homelands is also important.
The news that Guatemala agreed to take back other nationalities appeared to be a win for Trump, who has promised the largest number of deportations in U.S. history, but is hampered by countries who are reluctant to take back their nationals, like China, and until very recently, Venezuela. But it remains unclear how Guatemala would deport migrants from countries who refuse to take their nationals back from the U.S. Over 1,400 immigrants have been deported to Guatemala since Trump took office. Our cameras were there today as 171 immigrants recently deported from Miami stepped off the plane to restart their lives in a country many left long ago, including Andres Sanchez Gomez, who leaves behind 4 kids in the U.S., including one who is a U.S. citizen.
Si la redada va a seguir siendo así, solo pienso arreglar los pasaportes de mis hijos y lo voy a traer para atrás. Porque si yo voy a buscarlo a ellos, es lo mismo. Si me arrestan, me pueden meter de 1 año así la sentencia, y eso no es justo.
This woman, recently deported from San Antonio, Texas, telling Telemundo she went to the U.S. to help her family.
Curar a mi mamá. Mi mamá está enferma de cáncer. Mi papá, muchas convulsiones.
Guatemala joins Panama in agreeing to take back migrants from countries other than their own, a sharp departure from the resistance Latin American countries were sending toward the Trump administration less than 2 weeks ago. What has changed? Why are you and other Latin American countries now so willing to work with the Trump administration on immigration?
I cannot speak from any other country. I can only speak from my own country. For us, it is fundamentally an attempt to help the Guatemalans that are being that are in this situation to ease their reintegration into our society.
One thing Rubio said the United States has offered Guatemala: a carve-out from the Trump administration's vast cuts to foreign aid programs.
Today, I'll be signing waivers on foreign aid that will continue that partnership and hope to build on it as well.
Instead, allowing U.S. funding to continue to flow to Guatemala to help the country combat drug trafficking.
This is an example of foreign aid that's in our national interest. That's why I've issued a waiver for these programs.
Rubio signed similar waivers in Costa Rica, Panama. Arévalo said his country recognizes it might not be easy for Guatemalans to be deported back to a country they left long ago.
We are aware that we are going to be receiving now families, people that have been living 10, 15 years in the United States, and that their return might not be as, let's say, smooth.
So, Gadi, what I took away from that interview is that there's still a lot of details to work out. In fact, President Arevalo told me that Guatemala will be sending a mission, or a delegation rather, to D.C. in the coming weeks to try to work out some of those details, because he couldn't answer how many nationals from other countries they'll take back or when they'll start seeing them. There doesn't also seem to be some kind of parameter about how long those people will stay in Guatemala. He said it's temporarily while they're on their way back to their home countries. But look, a big incentive for the Trump administration to choose a country like Guatemala in the first place, to take back migrants rather from countries who are not their own, they're not Guatemalans, is because the U.S. struggles to deport certain populations like Chinese, like until very recently Venezuelans. It's very difficult for them to deport those people, and so it's unclear how Guatemala might be more successful in those efforts. Again, in 2019, Guatemala did something similar. It was a similar arrangement with the Trump administration. That was under a different administration in Guatemala. And President Arevalo said this will be very different. But exactly how remains unclear, especially because how temporary those migrants will be staying in Guatemala isn't exactly defined yet.
It sounds almost like a race to be the first to accommodate. Interesting stuff there, Julia. Thank you. Now let's take a quick look around the world. The Mexican government has started deploying National Guard troops to its border with the United States. They are part of the 10,000 promised to delay those tariffs. Now, President Trump called for Mexico to secure their border security and crack down on fentanyl smuggling. And we're learning shocking details about the aftermath of a prison breakout in Congo. The UN says more than 150 women were raped by male inmates who escaped. This break happened during the chaos of the Rwandan-backed rebels taking over the city. It's not clear how many prisoners were able to get free. And Tesla's sales plummeted in Germany last month. We're talking about a 60% year-over-year drop. And it comes after CEO Elon Musk backed the far-right party in the country's upcoming election. No comment on the dip from Tesla, but sales were actually down for the company in several major markets in Europe. And the countdown is really on for the 2026 Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games. The opening ceremony is set for exactly 1 year from today in Italy, but things are running a little bit behind schedule. One venue is so behind, the IOC has asked for a Plan B in New York. Italian officials say it'll be finished in time. That does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.